Okay, welcome back. This is going to be just another quick time lapse. The goal in this video is to actually just try and finish off the inside of my city. I've been working on this for far too long, so I decided I was going to put down a session where I try and finish as much as I can. So starting with a little beautification of my university district, and then I decided I want to build out the Nobles District, where the wealthy members of the population live, merchants, guild members, and the like. And so I'm going to start. I'm really going to have kind of two districts that I have idea here. There's different color noble buildings as well. And just like I've done with some of my other regions, I want to vary those colors a little bit. So I opted for yellow style buildings on that side, on the right hand side there. And then I thought I would work with the teal buildings, which I like. And I was going to build up my regions. Now, in the other parts of the city that I built, where maybe more of the commoners live, I sort of made it a point to try and be a little bit haphazard with the placement of my buildings and such, trying to maybe mimic an organic growth of a city. But I wanted to I still wanted that organic feel, but I wanted to place the buildings for the nobles in a little bit more planned fashion, as though, there was more thought put into where they would go, um, maybe more deliberation among the members of the populace who live up here about who's allowed to live here and what their buildings should look like. So I wanted to also leave, as you can see here, I'm starting to build just some more decoration in this region. I feel that the wealthier people will probably, conscript some artisans to build statues and fountains and, plant trees and so on. And so I feel like I wanted to add some space for where I could do this. And then I just went and grabbed some stamps that I thought looked cool and placed them down. Again, I don't really know what these are statues of. And at this point, I'm not really kind of deciding. But it's great. It's sort of plot hooks for myself. I don't know what they are. And so later on, maybe one of my players comes to this region of town and says, "Hey, what are these four statues of?" I was already trying to think what these four statues are of, maybe of guild leaders, famous guild leaders in the past, who are important to the city. But I haven't decided that yet, so I can decide that later. Add some sort of dirt paths to the cobble paths. Again, trying to make the city just look a little bit more natural. Again, up in this region, this is where the nobles live, so I've left the green space in, with the idea that, well, the nobles like the green space, whereas maybe the commoners can't keep anything living down there. And so, again, in the green space, I want to decorate it out a little bit, placing my trees, and notice I'm being more deliberate about where I'm placing each tree based on its size and so on, again, assuming the nobles probably have gardeners and such. Down here, I thought maybe a little bit of free trees around the temple there, just to fill in a couple groves. I thought the trees might be a good way to separate some of the regions of the city. And then I'm right back to outlining my cobblestone. I feel like I've worked with this outline for most of it so far, and now that I've started filling in and decorating in the green space and such, I kind of like it. One thing I'm a little worried about is, as I mentioned before, I develop in low def here, and so while I'm painting over this, I'm trying to paint over stuff that looks like maybe it needs to be, but I can't really tell what the high def's going to look like, and maybe in high def it's going to look all, low quality, in which case I might come back and fix that later. In fact, I think one thing I am planning to do, and hopefully I won't crash my computer in doing this, is do a final sweep on my brushwork when I'm done with in high def development. And like I said, hopefully the machine won't crash or just be bogged down. And if it does feel like that's a little bit too much for it, I have a couple tricks up my sleeve to make that work a little bit better. So do a quick save, just make sure you don't lose any of your progress. I made a little smudge there. One thing I also did with my brushwork that was off the recording was I went back to touch up some of the pathways in the graveyard, and in particular the pathway over the hilltop stamps. I flattened the stamps and I pulled out the brush to paint over it so that the walkways actually moved up and down the hill as I'd wanted to. So I felt fairly done with the region up in the north there, the Noble region. Like I said, I wanted to leave the green space up there. And so I thought, well, that leaves this area down here. And this area has a few purposes that I want to put it to. One I'm doing here is I'm trying to build the region around this theater. This is going to be the main theater in the city. It doubles also as a temple to the god of the arts, Corliss. And thought I'd put some fountains in there. The other thing I thought I was going to put out here were some of the guilds related to the art. So in the back here, I'm putting one of the artisan guilds for things, statues, furniture, beautiful pieces of furniture and so on. And then I also wanted to put some artist guilds, which I'll put down in a second here. I found this cool little tower thing. I liked it better than what I had in the university, so I put it up there. I remembered I needed a little wizard's tower for one of my guilds, the Gilded Conclave, which is a powerful wizard's guild in the town. And so I'm actually going to change that tower to be gold in color a little bit later. So there I put down my guilds. These three guilds I've decided I want to be sort of a musician's guild, a artist guild, paintings and so on. And then maybe a actors guild. So this is the artistic region of the city. There I put some jeweler shops down there as well. And this part up here is the meant to be where there's going to be some of the military part of the city, fighters guilds and adventurers guilds. So far that's the Crimson Company and the Gilded Company. That's why I colored that one gold. The Gilded Company happened to be a company of Warforged, crafted to fight undead in a recent war. And this other building I'm kind of building up out of a few buildings is just, again, be another fighters guild. I intend this one to be for Garrock's Gunners, a guild of crossbowmen and firearm wielders. And another, it looks like I decided I wanted to shrink some of these down. Again, to match the same size template I've been using for most of my buildings. That helps you match the style up. Looks good. There's another fighters guild. I've got about 5 or 6 different adventurers guilds listed in my notes, and I wanted to make sure I had space for each of them. Again, I'm just building up a fighters guild, making my own building for it. One of the fighters guilds, the Blazing Halberds, is a guild, a mercenaries guild, related to one of my main characters. One of the player characters, a paladin in my group. So I want to make sure I have a place for that in my city. Other than the fighters guilds that this is sort of the final one that I want to put in here. This one is meant to be for fighters from the Kugong Empire, an invading empire that occupied the city and the nations of Gurdan for about 60 years. But that was about 20 years ago, and the occupation has broken. But members of the Kugong Empire remain. And in fact, what I'm building right now is a thieves guild for the Emerald Dragons, another Kugong Empire. I think that's where I got the idea. As I started building up the Fighters Guild, and I remembered, oh yes, I needed to put in a guild house for the Emerald Dragons. And so my idea here is in the region to the bottom here, I'm going to put some more just residential region, but sprinkle in there a couple of commercial areas like what I've got scattered there, an alchemist shop, maybe a few other shops. I'm thinking maybe like a magic shop, but not sort of the more wealthier magic shop. Maybe it's a little sketchy. That's my ideas. Maybe this region might have, as I said, the Emerald Guild's thieves work out of there, so there might be a little bit of sketchy region. The other thing I'm putting down here are some inns. In my notes, I've got about 20 different inns. I've got a lot of them placed down already, but some of the inns were intended to be around the theater district, something like the Minstrel and Her Dog and the Flautist Rest and stuff. I just have a few where you can go maybe listen to some music and hang out. I thought that one fit really good right there, and that one I think I've decided is the Flautist Rest, since it's right there, of course, across from the Musician Guild. Again, great ideas you get from building a map like this of, oh yeah, this is where this, a little bit of lore attached to this building and so on. Again, I kind of like the uneven roadways with a little bit of space, so I'm like, oh yeah, look, that fits right in there. I wanted to make this inn stand out a little bit, so yeah, I'll put it in its own little block as well and surround it with some buildings. Found a nice place for the Emerald Dragons Thieves Guild, and look, all of a sudden there's a nice long block of buildings there. Again, a little bit of unevenness. What did I grab? I think I grabbed rows. It's just another sort of composite block that stamps that you can grab. I'm like, okay, where's that Alchemist Guild gonna go? Well, I'll put it down. And again, I really didn't know where I wanted to put it, and I'm thinking I've got that one row set up. Well, let's start building up the rest. How wide do I want that wall to be? And as you can see, as I keep putting in more buildings, I keep moving that Alchemist Guild shop further and further away. I said that region might be sketchy. Well, maybe that's the sketchiest alchemist shop in the whole town, and who knows what you can get there, but they probably got some weird potions in the back. All right, again, filling in the empty space. I like these rows, the yellow rows and blue rows here to fill in the space, and then add a couple extra buildings. Notice how you can put a little building on the corner or the edge there, and it doesn't look like you just used the exact same stamp over and over again, so that's helpful. I thought, does anything fit down there? I decided no. I think that no one's going to expand to that part of town. It's kind of way out in the back. And it looks like now it's time to get back to the brushwork, and following my sort of same rules as before. This is a more commoner part of town. Maybe they can't keep the grass growing, and it's more dusty down here, and so I just wanted to fill it in. And again, go back around. I just use a smaller brush first to just fill in some of that green, and then I decided I need a little bit more roads, cobble roads that is. So I put some out there, and then start my edge work around here. I do like doing this edge work, even though if you set the softness of your brush to, I had it set all the way to 0, but if you set it in somewhere in the middle, like I find 20 even isn't really strong enough to get the kind of faded look I like. But you can set it to about maybe 50, and it'll give you a softer edge when you paint it down. I think full softness is just too soft to get a good road looking right. It's good for other things. All right, so I guess it's time to save it. I think I'm mostly done with the inside of my city. I've got a few finishing touches. I wanted to add another road here, but I really feel like the inside of the city is done. I might go back and do that brushwork like I mentioned, but I really think it's done. There's still a lot to be added to the outside, but we'll do that in another video. So thanks a lot for watching again, and yeah, check us out in that next video.